Since I found Nostradamus Century 3, Quatrain 92, the exact depiction of France's current Yellow Vest movement, I tried to find evidence to prove myself wrong. As a man collecting Social Security, I'm not too concerned about this myself, but life is too beautiful to end. If the quote, "the world near the last period" is true, what will happen? One comfort I gave myself was the fact that I have not found obvious signs of the coming doomsday. Every doomsday prophecy warned about wars, famine, and infectious disease before death. The fourth horseman would come and finish all. But other than parts of the world that are starving, the rest of us did not have to worry about food. Well, I have not heard about major news breaks on any health epidemic. Although weather changes could cause food shortage, but that will take at least a few years. While Canada's recent ease of marijuana regulation has prompted many farmers to switch crops, instead of growing food to feed us, they now grow weed to feed our pleasure. Of course, trade wars have sprayed red ink all over the Midwest, and that could mean less incentive for U.S. farmers to grow green when all they can see in the field are red. So like I said, you don't need to be a psychic to foresee food shortage. But what may happen down the road is far from our next stop. People don't see the problem ahead till it is within sight, so maybe it is not something we need to worry about today. So what do we have to worry about today? 13 hours ago, the news from Nebraska caught my attention. A doctor helped patients in Congo and may be exposed and is now under close watch. He said this is not a concern, as he is not ill, nor is he contagious. Congo? I don't recall seeing that on the news. Let's see how bad it is in Congo. Since August 2018 outbreak, there are 545 confirmed cases with 359 deaths. We won't call that a pandemic, it may just be a cluster. But look at the chart. The case seems to be on the rise versus going down. Should we worry? Before you finalize your answer, let me share with you something we found recently. Sherry, our producer, went on a trip in New England, at Portland, Maine. She asked 3 shuttle bus drivers about Lyme disease, which we have made 2 videos on. One driver said she had it, one driver said his wife had it, and one driver was spared by the ticks. That small random sample seemed to paint a different picture than the one we can find on Wikipedia. But what concerns me most is not Lyme, but the flu. Do you know the difference between cold and flu? Not much on the symptoms, but remember this, cold is annoying, but flu can kill you. People with flu may have high fever, but when that happens, it may be too late. It usually starts like a cold and can't be mistaken for a cold. It comes with the cold winter weather, and although no one likes it, and we pay little attention to cold and have accepted it as a part of our life, but flu is different. The 1918 Spanish flu infected 500 million people and killed 50 to 100 million worldwide. And last year, 80,000 people died of flu in the winter of 2017. That is terrible, isn't it? But the truth can be much worse. Wikipedia showed annual Lyme disease cases stood around 30,000. But when our team talked to a Connecticut couple last month, they said everyone in Connecticut has Lyme, and the wife got it 5 times. The husband now won't leave the house without spraying harsh chemicals. So do you really think there's only 80,000 deaths from flu last year? So, is there a pandemic or not? Well, I think there is. And this one may soon get much, much worse. A second Guatemalan boy just died in immigration custody. Depending upon what news you watched, you may either be told about him being a casualty of Democratic refusal to fund the border wall, or immigration's lack of funding and training to deal with the many detainees. But I read the report which timelined the whole incident. He was detained on 12/18/18, no report of any problem with the child till 12/24/18. At 9 a.m. he was rushed to the hospital. At 10 p.m. he arrived, at 11 p.m. and pronounced dead at 11:59 p.m. 7 days. How long is the incubation period for flu? 1 to 4 days? So may we have some outbreak in the detention center? Let's take a closer look at the timeline. 12/24/18, 9 a.m. Agent noticed child coughing with glossy eyes. He was sent to Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center in Alamogordo with possible influenza symptoms in just 30 minutes. 11:30 a.m. Hospital staff conducted several tests on Felipe for strep throat. 12:45 p.m. Felipe was given a diagnosis of common cold and given Tylenol. 1:20 p.m. He was evaluated for release and found to have a 103-degree fever and was held for continued observation. 2:50 p.m. Felipe was released from the emergency room with ibuprofen and amoxicillin, the antibiotic. He and his father were sent to temporary holding at the Highway 70 checkpoint. Approximately 5 p.m. Agents provided Felipe with a dose of the prescribed medication as ordered by the medical staff, and agents conducted several welfare checks that evening. 7 p.m. Felipe appeared to be nauseous and vomiting. Agents were aware of this and helped clean up the vomit. His father declined further medical assistance as the child had been feeling better. 10 p.m. Felipe appeared lethargic and nauseous again. Felipe and his father were sent to Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center. During transportation to the hospital, he began to vomit and lost consciousness. 11:07 p.m. Radio traffic indicated that the agent had arrived at the medical center where he was met by the hospital staff. 11:48 p.m. Hospital staff were unable to revive Felipe and pronounced him dead. I'm sorry that I have to share this terrible story with you. Although there is no report of major flu outbreak, Felipe's death showed you how you can die even when you were sent to the ER, given medication, and under care by a family member. This story will not make it into the news if he was not in custody. So many people died of the flu every year, but when you hear about it from the news, it may be the tip of the iceberg. You should not ignore this. Today I saw another news story. Andy Lau, the famous actor-singer adored by Chinese all over the world, canceled his current tour because of the flu. Forgive me for using him as another random sample, but obviously the situation is worse than we think. How bad is this flu? It is bad because it's already taken lives without us knowing, and it can get much worse if we don't do something to stop it. Let's try to stop the spread of the flu because losing the battle against it is not good. I believe if we work to stop the flu before it starts, then we can escape the harm. But what did Nostradamus think? Century 5, quatrain 63, from the vain enterprise, honor, and undue complaint. Boats tossed about among the Latins' cold hunger waves. Not far from the Tiber, the land stained with blood, and diverse plagues will be upon mankind. Well, the immigrants came with caravan. It is not the vain, but can that be another misspelled word? Many asylum seekers exaggerate hardship so they can get a visa. Can we call that undue complaint? Is seeking a better life an honorable thing to do? Or is it dishonorable because it is illegal? The word Latin appears on line 2 with the word cold and hunger mentioned. But I don't know how to explain the word boats, as non-Latin refugees came with a boat. Even Cubans usually swim. But if this line is about the current immigration crisis, then the third line warns about stained with blood, while the fourth line warns diverse plagues will be upon mankind. I can't say if this quatrain is for sure about current times, but signs of a possible flu epidemic is obvious without consulting a psychic. This is Thomas Johansson. Thank you for watching.